So the recommendations tab, as we've stated before, shows all the different keywords that you could use in your text and should use based on what the top 10 are using. We're just going to go through a quick example here for the title tag. So your current title tag is Fishing in Yellowstone National Park. Based on the top 10 for your keyword group, they include the following meta title for the same kind of page. So far, you are including Fishing Yellowstone National Park, but are not using the word fly or river, which lots of other competitors are. If you added Fishing in Yellowstone National Park by the river, or Fishing in Yellowstone National Park River, it would increase your ranking in the editor. So what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly add river to this and see what it does to your score. As you can see, it's gone up and it has adjusted here. You would follow the same kind of thing and process for the rest of this text. So you could, for example, add fly or river to the description or in the H1. The second part of this recommendation category is the keywords found in the body text. What you're seeing here is saying that fishing in Yellowstone has been used in this exact form 5 times throughout the text. As you can see here, when you click on it, it highlights the usage in the body text. From our findings, when we scraped their pages, we found that for the top 10, they only use it 1 to 2 times. So if you're trying to align your keyword density and your keyword usage with the top 10, which is a smart idea, especially for the top few results, if they've been ranking there for a while, it would stand to reason that you should probably decrease the usage slightly if you've actively put this term in there and it hasn't just occurred naturally. If it occurs naturally, we'd say leave it. But if you have kind of SEO optimized it too much, we'd put it in there because, of course, you don't want to be overusing the keyword you're trying to rank for and get yourself penalized. As we can see, there are some words that in form fashion are not being included, whereas they're used 11 to 16 times in the top 10. Once again, park, exact match, we only use it 16 times and they use it 19 to 28 times. You do kind of have to make and draw your own conclusions based on whether your content needs these changes. So lots of the ones, like we pay more attention to the first paragraph normally, the H1 and the title, as that's what the crawlers normally pay a lot of attention to start with. If you align those, everything else then is kind of just split testing. So make a few changes, copy the HTML into your website, and then monitor it. The next section is the latent semantic indexing section. So once again, this looks at the top 10 for your keywords, and it looks at their content and what words are normally used and associated with your keywords. So as you can see, you've used Yellowstone National Park fishing, 3-day permit, Memorial Day weekend, but you are missing First Sunday November, Yellowstone Park, Madison River, rainbow trout. This is, by the way, so some of your competitors may be only ranking for a few of the keywords you're trying to rank for, and the article has a different subject. You do always have to factor in that we're scraping the top 10 for each of the keywords and then collating the words that they're using. But if it seems it should be reasonable, you should sprinkle it in there, but it stands to reason that Google, if it's ranking those competitors in the top 10, they expect to see these words in relevant content on this topic. Lots of the time as well, say you've got a keyword that you want to use and rank for, but of course you can't overuse for risk of an over optimization penalty. You can normally look at the latent semantic words and just find synonyms or likewise relevant words to describe what you're trying to articulate. Once again, it just helps users find your content, and it just shows a depth of knowledge on this subject that Google will respond well to, because it is responding well already to the top 10. The next section we're going to look at is the keyword stuffing category. When you click on here, this is any kind of not almost vagrant abuse of words, but it's not really as sinister as it sounds. It's basically, we've picked up that you're using this word XYZ percentage, and the top 10 only really use it this percentage. These are words that we think really should be addressed, and to replace them, we'd recommend using synonyms. If you click on, we're going to go with the high density word forms permit in the sentence, which is used 5 times, it will highlight it in the body text where you've used it. So in this example, it says you have 3 permit options: a 3-day permit for $18, a 7-day permit for $25, a 10-day permit for $30, or a season permit for $40. So if you think it really warrants using the permit 5 times, you could leave it. But we'd probably recommend going, you have 3 permit options: a 3-day option for $18, a 7-day option for $25, a 10-day for $30, or a season permit for $40. So you've reduced straight away 3 overuses of the word, and that's essentially what this category does. So the next thing we're going to look at is the keyword section. This is the section that highlights all of the keywords for the group and the page you're trying to rank for. So you've specified 8 keywords in this instance and in this group, and you're trying to rank it on the test page of Labrika. You can also see it before we click on the content optimizer. You've got the 8 keywords here. So we're going to go back onto it. And what we can see straight away is that of these 8 keywords that you're trying to rank for this page, our algorithm has found an inconsistency with one of the keywords you're trying to rank for. So as a whole, pages tend to be either informational or commercial. So examples of this would be how to fish in Yellowstone would probably be an informational intent keyword, or can you fish in Yellowstone, which is actually one of your keywords. However, buy shoes, we've of course perfectly injected here just to highlight if you had any inconsistencies with your intent keywords, we would highlight them. Buy shoes or buy fishing rods for Yellowstone would not fit well with what Google expects to see an article about that has these type of keywords. So it is not likely that buy shoes would rank at all well. Like I said, we've purposely put something that really draws your attention to it, but you could, like we said, have buy fishing rods for Yellowstone National Park. Because it's not a product page, it's not likely to rank well. The content would not align with what the top 10 would want from that. So we've of course ascertained that looking at your test URL page, which is selected here, that we're looking for informational intent keywords, and normally this page or this type of page to rank well in the top 10 would be about three page depth from the home page, so that would be 2 clicks in addition. Whereas buy shoes, we found that lots of people that rank for buy shoes, they're actually ranking their home pages, so that could be exact match domains, or it could be just that they've got a load of links point to their home pages and rank well for buy shoes. It goes without saying, do not mix intents. You have informational pages that you get your backlinks to, and then you internally link to your product pages. Likewise, you just have product pages for things like buy shoes or buy fishing rods. When you hover over, it would of course just reaffirm what I've said. The keyword is not suitable for this page type. We'd of course recommend not using this word in the text of the page anywhere in the body text or the titles, and remove it from this group and assign it to a different more commercially relevant page. The next section we're going to look at is the error category. This page here highlights any errors found on this page that we're trying to rank for our group of keywords. So in this instance, it would show we have 2 SEO meta tag errors that should be addressed. It is important to note we will only highlight really useful and critical errors that should be rectified in order to really make sure your content is ranking as well as it should. In the other errors, we have kind of more erroneous, less useful errors that could be addressed, but they also most likely aren't affecting your rankings too terribly. The next section we're going to look at is the competitors section. This is all of the competitors in the top 10 for the set of keywords selected here and for the URL. So these are competitors that have competing content for this select group of keywords. So it shows you all their title, whether the page is working. We always look at the meta title because it is the most important. That alongside the H1, and then you can click directly through to them. It's not a fully fleshed out section here. We will be adding 2 more columns showing the keywords they are ranking for and their ranks. You will also be given the option to exclude certain competitors if you don't think they're relevant and you just don't want to look at them. So this is kind of how it is now, but that is not going to be a finished product. It will be a lot more useful in the future. The next section we're going to look at is the snippet section. So if you ranked for these keywords, so remember this is a test article, it would show you your position here from your rank tracker, which comes from within Labrika, and it would also show you the meta title. So we've added an example here just to show what the feature does for the can you fish in Yellowstone keyword. So what we're going to do is go ahead and show the snippet for this page ranking for can you fish in Yellowstone. So you can see what it looks like on Google currently. We're then going to go ahead and view competitors, meta snippets. And there you go. So this is what is loaded up. These are for the top 10 for this keyword. So as we can see, for can you fish in Yellowstone, these are the meta snippets for this keyword. You can also see the position. So of course it stands to reason you should probably pay slightly more attention to those in the higher SERPs. And you can also see whether they're using any date modifiers. These are clearly quite out of date, which would probably mean that maybe you have an edge in if you get enough backlinks and you've got fresh content that can answer the question, but you might be able to poach some links from these older websites. Yes, as a rule of thumb, like you just kind of look at what they're saying, and if it's working, we have this saying, if it's broken, don't fix it. So just use some of their, adapt it slightly, but it's a good rule of thumb that if they're in the top 3 spots where user engagement is really quite important, it's normally look at their meta titles, look at their meta snippets, and if it seems good and catchy, just use it yourself and just change a few words. So if we click off this, we also have another feature. So this is of course what our crawler has pulled and likely what Google will be pulling. You can then actually highlight the snippet text on the page where it's been found. So we click on here. You'll see that this is the snippet. We don't have a position currently because we're not ranking, but if we did, it would be articulated here. Meta title, meta description. And when you scroll down, you'll see where it's pulled it from. What Labrika can do for you, Labrika finds dozens of problems on the website which other services don't see, which helps the most hopeless websites get in the top 10 search results. Alright, so the next thing we're going to be looking at, oh, we've clicked off of that, will be the essential elements recommendation panel. So on this screen here, we can see, based on the keywords in this group for this page test, that the top 10 for these keywords have these relevant features. So you can see for all of them, the top 10 all have HTTPS websites. There is no found advertising on the page, no buy or order button, no calculator, no basket on the top of the document, no compare with similar items. They do all have business hours. There's no mention of new products, no live chat, no payments methods mentions, no price mentions, no price list to download options, no price list, no product photo. Some have frequently bought together carousels. None have product feedback apart from on the buy shoes document, but that one is the test, so it doesn't actually really pertain to the keywords you would rank this article for. A few have Google Maps, i.e. showing their location. None have shipping details and information. None have similar and related items. None have any in stock. None have any videos. A few, well, 3 of them have Facebook URLs. 1 has a Twitter URL, which is the irrelevant keyword. 1 has Instagram. No have Tumblr. None have Pinterest. None have LinkedIn. And 1 has YouTube. You notice that for the buy shoes, there's a lot more contact information. So while it doesn't pertain directly to our group of keywords or the article, it's just an important distinction to know. You tend to see more feature-rich commercial intent websites where they have to provide as much information as possible to really prove their trust to Google and the user. So that is the essential elements section. It is important to note, though, that this doesn't mean every competitor, it just means most have this feature. So you might find anomalies in this competitor set, but we look as a whole, out of the top 10, how many people have this feature, and if it is more often than not, we will put the plus sign to show that they do have this feature. Another thing to note is that, say this was a group of commercial keywords and a commercial page we're ranking for. If you saw lots of buy or order buttons for other websites and you were just writing content and then posting to an affiliate or something, it would stand to reason it makes sense to actually host it on your site and have a shopping page with shopping abilities and the ability to, of course, add to cart and then check out from that page. But we are looking at this instance, informational intent, where you don't tend to, of course, see these commercial intent snippets and features. The next section we're going to look at is the share link section. In here, you'll find a link to a report that can be given to any of the copywriters and will make sure that their content includes all the keywords listed in here. You can see more in the content brief of what the recommendations would look like. If you give anyone this link, it will give them a guest token and then access to the recommendations directly in this report. So if we go ahead and open that, you'll see a custom guest optimization panel for them to use, so they don't have to log into any of your services, they don't need to know what you're doing. They can just use our recommendations. So this is if you have copywriters and you don't spend the time yourself creating the content, but you want guaranteed latent semantic indexing that works, you want to really make sure your content writers aren't overstuffing words, just get them to write their content in this panel, or they write in their own Word document, for example, and then they'll just paste it in here and optimize it for the keywords you want them to. It's a really unique feature that we don't see many companies offer. As far as we know, there are no competitors that allow their copywriters for companies to go into a guest version of an optimizer after writing the document and making sure to optimize it for SEO, but in a way that isn't going to get them penalized by the search engines. So we're going to quickly get off of this window now and move on to the next section. But we would really recommend, if you do have copywriters, just give them access to it. Get them to give you the article, you paste it in, and then send them a link. Next thing we're going to look at is term frequency and inverse document frequency. So this page, of course, is the term frequency, inverse document frequency page. So here you can see the term frequency, inverse document frequency calculations for your page as it stands in the text editor. So that is in here currently. And this is showing what's showing on our actual web page on the website. It then gives you a score based on the term frequency, inverse document frequency. So kind of a simple explanation is as follows. Term frequency is how many times your keyword here is mentioned in your text multiplied by the frequency of the term in other documents. So in this example it would be how frequently can you fish in Yellowstone is mentioned in your text multiplied by how many times is mentioned in someone else's text. Here is just a rough estimate. You can see there is a calculation of can you fish in Yellowstone of between 11 and 26.3 for your top competitors, and you're in 26 and 20, so that's fine. But here you can see really the guideline is 13.1 to 21 for fly fishing in Yellowstone National Park, whereas yours has a term frequency, inverse document frequency rating of 29.2 and 24.1. We then, of course, if you want to, recommend adjusting your content so it meets this criteria if the top 1 or 2 spots are actually relevant and like for like in terms of content providing. This isn't a hard fast rule to follow, but we do recommend giving it some thought. Like if you had something ridiculous like 40 or 50 and there's 13, it should be addressed. You're only about 30% out from their top line, well, 40%. So we wouldn't give it too much thought. But I mean, if you are someone that pays a lot of attention to term frequency, inverse document frequency, then this might be the category recommendation for you. The next section we're going to go into is the content brief section. So this is slightly like the share link, except in this you can control. So this is share links more for if you have copywriters that work for you and you trust them a little bit more, so you kind of give them creative freedom to use our recommendations as you will. You probably say maybe follow the title recommendations or body text. This content brief here though is highly customizable, and say you decide you want text for this test page, you don't really know the content writers as much, you give them a guideline what the content length is. So this is kind of before you do it. You tell them text uniqueness, common words to use, latent semantic words, so synonyms and other relevant words pertaining to this topic. And then you can tell them whether you want certain things, like without stylistic, grammatical and spelling mistakes, how you want it structured, how you want links done, and any kind of inserts for clocks, product photos for this specific page. You can also include different examples. So we've automatically, based on the keywords listed, come up with 5 good landing page examples, but you can add or remove different pages so it fits your needs a little bit better. And we currently have a link to the content. All you have to do then is click export and then send it to them. The last page we have here, and recommendation category, is the history. So it keeps the most recent 10 changes you've made to your document. So as you can see, on the 8th of December there was a change made at 9:43, which I believe was me changing that river whereas previously there was no river. So say I want to go back to the old one, I would click on the do you want to load data and then load it. I then click load, it will update my score and it's gone down simply because river is no longer included there. So this basically stops you, because lots of the time people that are very precise and want to get everything right, they make a load of changes and they go, oh, I need to start again. And then you feel like you have to do the load content from the website button just to go back to default. We understood that lots of customers do this, especially in this industry. So now we track any changes. The most 10 recent ones you can just undo very easily like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a more in-depth look at the recommendations category. So before we gave you a quick overview, now we're going to kind of show you how to use it and how to get the most out of your content.